I love the song the choir did this morning. It said, they don't know what the Lord means to me. You know, it takes someone who have an understanding, who has a knowledge, a first-hand understanding of what God has done and can do to make that declaration. You know, can I tell you something? What man says about you has a lot to do with what comes into your life. The recommendation of men has a lot to do with the doors that would open for you, believe it or not. So before you can have the boldness to say, I do not care what men will say, you need to be very careful and need to know where you're coming from. Because I tell you, access is granted through recommendation. Is somebody with me? I can boldly come to certain level of things I'm doing because I know Pastor Francis, and because I know if she takes me to the bank where she's a directorate and can speak to some people on my behalf, I can be able to get what I need to. We have heard of testimony of someone who was looking to admission, and he came and our mother said, tell them Professor So asked you to come. A recommendation of man has so much to do with your success and where you're going in life. So for you to be able to have the confidence to say, I do not care what a man will say, you must have a higher recommendation. Is somebody with me? There must be a higher level of conviction before you can verbally say this, because the devil would judge you and use what you say against you. He said he does not care whether you recommend him or not. And then the devil will put things in the heart of people. But a man who knows that there is a higher authority than the authority of man can confidently say, you know what? You might be the one who has the key to this safe, who has the key to this employment, but I can tell you there is one I know that has more access than you can give. Is somebody with me? So we must, before we make that confession in a song, we must come to the place of knowing and being convicted that there is someone. According to the book of Romans chapter 8 verse 31, it says, what shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? Verse 32. That's the main place we are resting on, in verse 32. And it says, he that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? So before I can be bold enough to say, I don't care whether you recommend me for this position or not. I don't care whether you call me into that meeting or not. You must be able to have known him that is able to give access to all things. Is somebody with me? You see, in this book of Romans chapter 8 verse 31 and 32, it is a statement, or it is a word that must come from the experiential point of view. Is somebody with me? Are we together? It is a word that must come from the experiential point of view. What am I trying to say? When we talk of the English word trust, it simply puts in the position of belief in the reality one, in the truth, and in the ability of another. Can I repeat that again? The simple English word trust simply means the belief in what? In the reliability, in the truth, and in the ability of someone. So when I'm telling you that God can be trusted, it is not a statement or a theory in the Bible. It is a statement that would have to come from an experiential point of view. Because before I can attest that God can be trusted, I must have shown or proved that God is reliable. Is someone with me? I must be able to show that God is truth. I must have able to show that there is that trust or confidence in the personality or the ability of God. Is somebody with me? Are we following? I want you to stay with me today. Me and